this is Pastor Jonathan. Welcome to today's Daily Devo on this Tuesday in late October. It's good to be with you this morning. I want to share today about experiences in prayer. And these are three experiences in particular that I had just this morning. And so I just want to share that with you as a way of sharing my devotional life and encouraging you in yours. So this morning, I actually did not go straight into my devotion first thing. Well, I did. I spent some time reading the Word, but then I got my kids ready and I took them to school. And then when I got home, we discovered that one of them had forgotten something, so I had to run back up to the school. And then I immediately started work with emails and phone calls, getting into the office, dropped off my other child at preschool, and then I paused to spend some time in prayer. So almost like a part one and part two of my morning devotion, interrupted by a lot of daily and menial tasks in between, which I want to encourage you is fairly normal. We live in the world. Most of us are not monks. You are tuned in on this Facebook Live video, or you watching this on our website or YouTube after the fact, and you do not live in a monastery. You're trying to figure out how to relate to God in this day-to-day, work-a-day world, just like me. So I paused and I tried to take some time just to pray, just to quiet my soul before the Lord, to reflect on what I had read this morning, to spend some time with Him, to orient my day in Him. And it wasn't past the first moment that I did that this voice crept into my mind and said, "You're hiding. You're hiding. You're closing your eyes. You're shielding the world. You should be working and not hiding. You should be doing. This is a waste of time." So I want to encourage you that if you ever hear a voice immediately when you go to prayer trying to convince you that prayer is a waste of time or you shouldn't be doing it, probably not the voice of the Lord, right? Whether that's your own voice or the voice of the enemy, that is a demonic voice. That is a demonic spirit. And so in response to this voice, as I was thinking, man, maybe the voice is right. Maybe I'm hiding. Maybe this is actually an act of cowardice when my word for the year is courage. I heard another voice pop in my head and go, that's right, I am hiding. And I heard the words of the psalmist, "The Lord is my refuge and my strength." Throughout the Psalms, we get that picture. And many of the Psalms where David is writing that kind of language, he is actually hiding out in caves or in mountains. He's looking up at how the mountains are physically protecting him as he's hiding out from those who would come to take his life. And he responds by saying that the Lord is like that for him. The Lord is his fortress. The Lord is his refuge. Prayer is our hiding place. Prayer is the place where we go to get away from the dangers of life and renew our faith so that we can overcome our fears. And in our world of fear and anxiety, how much do we need that? We need a prayer closet. We need a hiding place. And how wonderful and encouraging it is to know that anywhere and at any moment we can go to the Lord in prayer and have that refuge. The second thing I noticed was that as I was praying, my holy imagination began to see something. And I wouldn't call this a vision properly speaking, but it was a vision for me. I envisioned, as I was praying, these angels and demons doing battle in the unseen realm. And I realized that as I was praying, prayer is the place where we engage in spiritual battle. There is a tension right now. Heaven and earth heaven and hell are in battle, and the earth is kind of the middle ground. And we feel that tension as followers of Jesus, as citizens of the kingdom of God, trying to live in the world. We live in and feel this tension all the time, right? But it's not like as in Eastern philosophy, it's not an equal battle between good and evil, equal but opposing forces. Good absolutely triumphs. Satan is no more than one fallen angel. God has a whole army of angels, and God himself is over them all. So it's not as if God and the devil or Jesus and the devil are an even match. But there are angels that serve heaven, there are demons that serve the will of hell, that are in rebellion against God, and our human hearts are conflicted in the middle, and we feel that tension all the time. And I realized as I was praying that prayer is the place where I do battle. And I was reminded of the truth of 2 Corinthians chapter 10, verses 3 and 4. It says, "For though we live in the world, we do not wage war as the world does. The weapons we fight with are not the weapons of the world. On the contrary, they have divine power to demolish strongholds." So I want to encourage you today that when you feel at war with the world, when you sense the war going on around you, the tensions and the culture wars and the battles that we get in as human beings, Our warfare is different. As Christians, there is a different kind of battle that we're involved in, and every lesser earthly battle is really just a manifestation of that. And so we don't go to battle and oppose people in the same way humans oppose one another. We don't wage war as the world does. We fight the battle on our knees. We wage war by calling upon the resources of heaven. And it was incredible to realize that all of the tensions that I'm currently experiencing in my life are a result of what's going on in the unseen realm. And prayer is the place where I engage that battle and I can actually have an influence in that spiritual war. So prayer is a place of spiritual warfare. It's a place where by us engaging in that activity, we are actually joining the fight, moving the forces of good, combating the forces of evil. The third experience, after those two things kind of melted away, I was left in this kind of third experience of prayer. All of this happened this morning, where all of that was stripped away, and I was just alone with God. The distraction and the nagging voice of "you shouldn't be doing this, you're just hiding" had left. The vision of the battle between good and evil and the angels and the demons left. And finally, my soul was just alone and at peace with God. Prayer is the place where we nurture our relationship with the Lord. Prayer is the place where we spend time growing in our intimacy with Him, and we allow ourselves to strip away all the distractions of this life and all of the relationships, and we invest in that one relationship alone so that He can continue to do His work of changing us more into the image of Christ every day. I'm reminded of many places in the Gospels, but even in the first chapter of Mark, before we even get out of the first chapter, in verse 35, we see one of these examples where Jesus often would leave the disciples, He would leave the crowds, He'd be healing people and teaching, and He would steal away to spend hours in solitude and prayer with the Father, nurturing that relationship with the Father, because it was out of that relationship that He did and said everything that He did and said. And so we too are called to follow that example, to steal away and on a regular basis just to spend time alone with God, nurturing that relationship, because out of that relationship flows everything. It flows our being, out of that flows our actions and our words, and if we are not living rightly, then there is something wrong with that core, with that center, and we have to get back to that place in prayer. So these certainly are not the exhaustive three experiences of prayer. There are many other forms of prayer and things that we experience in prayer. But as I experienced all three of these just in my prayer time this morning, I wanted to share them with you in hopes that it might edify you, in hopes that it might benefit you, in hopes that it might inspire or challenge you. So, do you need a refuge today? Do you need a hiding place today? Spend a few moments in prayer with the Lord. Do you feel tension? Do you feel compelled to maybe even wage war as the world does, or get in the mud with people who are doing battle in the way the world is? Spend a few moments in prayer and realize that the weapons of our warfare are different, but they have divine power to demolish strongholds. And what you battle in prayer will even manifest in the world around you. And finally, do you need to nurture your relationship with God? We all do. The answer to that is yes. Spend some time today just being intimate and alone with your Abba Father. Spend a few moments receiving His love. Even say it out loud. It helps. If you can't hear His voice out loud, then use your voice to declare the truth about His love for you, and then spend a few minutes giving that love back and praising Him, naming attributes that you love and appreciate about Him. And in that love exchange, find your center aligned in God. God bless you today. I hope this is encouraging. This is Pastor Jonathan. Have a wonderful Tuesday. Grace and peace.